What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another DEHAMMER video. In today's video, we'll be celebrating my Longmill's 1 year-ish birthday. I'll talk about thoughts, maintenance, some of the projects I've already done in this past year, and what I plan to do in this upcoming year with this. Remember, if you haven't subscribed already, click that subscribe and bell button. Keep up with all the latest videos. But let's not delay anymore. Let's get into this. All right, let's start off by going over size. I started with a Saint Smart Prover 3018. It had about a 10 by 6 inch cutting area. The Longmill drastically improved upon that. Currently, I have mine set for 29.5 inches on the x-axis and about 32.5 inches on the y-axis, which matches up pretty close to what they give you here on the cutting area for the 30 by 30. You can see 31-ish by 33. Mine is a little bit shorter than that, and that's just because of the way I have my wires adjusted on my router. If I worked on the positioning of the wires and extending that a little bit, I could get that extra space. But for the projects I've been working on, my stock material fits in that area well, so I haven't gone through all the steps to get that full cutting area. Let's also talk about the bench and everything itself. Mine comes out to 58 inches wide. That's with the screen and keyboard holder folded in, and it's 49 inches deep. And that's just because I have my spoil board running off a little bit extra on the sides. Otherwise, it would be 48 inches in depth on the y-axis. And one of the great things for me about the size of this one, it's the right size for my shop. I do share the garage with the car, so it's nice I can get everything out of the way. It's not so big that I can't move it around. And it's not small where I'm kind of feel like I'm missing out on a cutting size or doing larger projects. Do I want bigger? Yes. Am I going to be upgrading to the 48-inch y-axis? No, and that's because of space reasons. But we'll talk a little bit more about the MK2, CNC's latest upgrade to the Longmill. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about materials. I've cut Baltic birch, plywood, acrylic, yes, both cast and extruded, done acrylic mirror, MDF, PVC board, and that's really all I've tried out in this year. I'm really happy with all the results. I have had no issues with any of these cutting, and if I did have issues, it was because I didn't have the right tool settings or speeds and feeds, but this machine has no problem with cutting any of those materials. So really it comes down to bit selections and your speeds and feeds. Not done aluminum, so I'm not going to talk about any metals. That is a totally different beast for me. All right, let's talk about maintenance now. What do you need to do to keep your machine running smooth? We need to clean the rails and the wheels. We need to make sure the anti-backlash nut is nice and snug so we don't have any movement in any of our axis. We want to make sure the eccentric nuts are tightened. We want to make sure our linear rails on our Z-axis are lubricated, and we just want to go through and check that everything is fastened down. Let's talk about what cleaning your rails and wheels mean. The gunk or buildup that you see, that's dust buildup, and it's been compacted by the wheels traveling over. We want to clean that up as much as possible. You can use your hand, a scraper, fingernails, even a paper towel. Do whatever you need to do to keep that rail clean. And if you do that, you're going to extend the life of your wheels, which are classified as consumables. So when I first started, I didn't have a dust collection system in place, but with a simple dust collection system of a shop vac and a dust collector, I have noticed a significant drop in buildup on the rail. Also in maintenance, you want to keep an eye on your anti-backlash nuts. If your machine is loose in any of the Z, X, or Y axis, if you can move it back and forth, we need to tighten the anti-backlash nut. The key here is to make small adjustments. Now, if you're first putting it in, yes, you'll have to make bigger ones. But once you get it set, after that, it's just minor adjustments. These don't come out too much. So try 1/64th of a turn, 1/32nd, whatever. But the key word here is do small little turns here until you get no play or movement in that axis. Checking for play in the X, Y, and Z axis after every cut should be part of your standard operating procedure. It's not hard, doesn't take a lot of time, and again, with small little turns, you're going to get it fixed right up in no time. Now, I haven't really had any issue with adjusting the eccentric nuts. Everything seems to have been fine. I do go through and tighten those or check to make sure that they're still tight before every cut. Maintaining your linear gears, you are going to want to use some 3-in-1 oil to lubricate the linear rails on your Z axis. That is the only place you're going to be needing to use oil. Some people have said they've used it in other parts. I have not. I've just used this to keep the linear rails good and clean. And then just go through and make sure everything is fastened. If it is screwed in, go in and make sure it's still snug. You don't want to over tighten anything on the 3D printed parts. You can crack them, but these are just things you can look out for in keeping your machine maintained and always ready to cut, and one way to avoid serious issues later down the line. All right, let's talk about the MK2, and more specifically, the extension kit for the X axis. Now, it has a new style to it. It's more C-shaped than angle-shaped. Also, it is going to allow you 48 inches of working area. The actual rail itself is going to be 57 inches wide. So you need to take that in consideration of area you have to work with. That's my biggest deal right now. I don't have the space. Hopefully one day, but today is not the day, but I am excited it is available. There are other little bits and pieces that you will need to read through and see what applies to you for expanding out your machine. I do like the new design. I like that they made it modular, where you don't have to get the new Y-axis beam as well. It will work with what you have. Check it out. See if that's something that's going to work for you. One day, hopefully, who knows how soon, it will be an option for me. But right now, I really have to work to get it to fit in my workspace. Do I think it's an awesome idea? Yes. If I had the space, would I go to that 48? Yes. Do I have any projects calling for it? No. If I had the workspace, yeah, I'd find and make projects that size. But right now, for what I've been doing, my cut area works. I'm really happy with the Longmill. Is there maintenance? Yes, but any tool has maintenance. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you everyone for watching. Happy birthday, Longmill. Thank you to the Longmill community out there on Facebook and CNC's website. Go check them out for good tips and tricks for keeping your machine up and running. A little bit of maintenance goes a long way. And I'm also looking forward to all the different projects that I got going on right now. If you follow me on Instagram, you see I'm working on a digital clock. Still working on that, but as soon as that's done, I'll get the video up on that. Also got another fun acrylic video coming, so stay tuned for that one as well. And remember, if you haven't already, click that subscribe and bell button to keep up with all the latest DEHAMMER videos. And until next time, keep making stuff.